So it's kind of both. It's yes and no. So if we want to evaluate regional hypertrophy, it's the same. But if we want to evaluate overall hypertrophy, then the squat wins. And why is that? Which type of exercises builds more muscle? Free weights or machines? Multi-joint or single joint movements? Well, I believe that the question itself is poorly construed, and I believe that we can elaborate and make the question itself better so that we can actually get to the point. And when we look at it, if we are comparing free weights versus machines, we can say that, for example, doing a dumbbell preacher curl is, although it is a free weight exercise, a dumbbell is a free weight, although a dumbbell preacher curl is a free weight exercise, it's not that much more demanding than doing, let's say, a bicep curl on a cable pulley. So you can see that simply dividing exercises by their free weight nature, or if they are in a stacked machine, simply falls short of what we are trying to get at here. And what we are trying to get at is that complex movements are much more demanding than simple movements. Then we have single joint versus multi-joint. And here we have also a problem, that is that, for example, a leg press is a multi-joint movement and a leg extension is a single joint movement. But they are also, both of them are movements done in a machine, a stationary machine that guides the movement for you. So there is no need for stabilization, like you would need if you are doing, let's say, a deadlift. So the better question is not free weights versus machines or multi-joint versus single joint, is actually complex movement versus simple movement. And what I mean by that is that a squat is a very complex movement by its own nature. You have to stabilize the weight and yourself and all of the joints that support the weight, and you have to move throughout the range of motion and coordinate at the same time all of the huge muscle groups that are working while you are squatting, and you have to coordinate the firing nature of those muscle groups, the stabilization of those muscle groups and joints. So you have to stabilize while you produce force in a 3D movement. It requires a lot of stabilization while you are squatting with free weights. That's a complex movement. That's a movement that you need not only to produce force with a lot of muscle mass, there's a lot of muscle groups involved. Not only that, but you also need to coordinate the stabilizers so that you don't fall forwards or backwards or to the side. So it's a very, very complex, coordinated movement. A leg extension, you can just sit on the machine and extend your knee, and that's it. You don't need to stabilize, you just need to produce force through your quadricep muscle. That's it. The most important differentiation should not be if it is a free weight or a machine exercise, or if it is multi-joint or single joint. The most important difference is actually how complex the movement is. So, like a squat. A squat is a very complex movement, and a leg extension is a very simple movement. So, what we want to get at is a complex movement like a squat better if I want to develop my quadriceps than a leg extension? And does it build more muscle? So it's kind of both. It's yes and no. So if we want to evaluate regional hypertrophy, it's the same. But if we want to evaluate overall hypertrophy, then the squat wins. And why is that? Well, if we want to look at just the quadriceps, let's say we are testing how efficient a squat versus a leg extension is at building muscle, at creating an augmented, hypertrophied muscle fiber. Well, a lot of studies have done this, and it comes out that if we are testing just the quadricep muscle, a squat and a leg extension build the same amount of muscle at the same rate. So you have no difference at building up your quads if you are doing squats or leg extensions. It's consistent with all research. Every time they do this type of studies where they put one group squatting and another one in a leg extension, they get the same increase in muscle mass in their quadriceps. That's regional hypertrophy though. Now, when it comes to overall hypertrophy, the squat actually wins over the leg extension. Why? Because when you're squatting, you're not only training your quadriceps, you are also training your glutes, your lower back muscles, your calves. So you get a lot more overall hypertrophy in a squat just because you are using and training a lot of different muscle groups. So in a squat, you can build your quads as much as you can in a leg extension, and you can also build your glutes, right? So the leg extension only hypertrophies your quads, but a squat can actually improve your muscle mass in the quadriceps, in the glutes, even the calves. So in overall terms, a complex movement like a squat or a deadlift or a overhead press or a barbell row, those types of movement, those complex movements, actually build more muscle overall just because they require a lot more muscle mass than a simple movement like a leg extension or a leg curl and so on and so forth. So if we are looking at just the prime mover, like a squat, the prime mover of a squat is the quadricep. If we are looking just at that, then leg extensions and squats can come out to be the same in terms of regional hypertrophy. But in overall terms, the squat wins because it just trains a lot of more muscle mass. The bonus of this question or of this topic is that people who train in complex movements, that train with squats or deadlifts, they actually improve their VO2 relative to their cohorts, the ones that do leg extensions or leg curls. They actually improve their VO2 and they lose more fat than the people that do simple movements. So you get a bonus if you do squats instead of leg extensions. You actually get the bonus of improving your VO2, and you also get the bonus of losing fat just because the exercise is such a demanding exercise. It just skyrockets fat burning and aids you at losing fat. So that's it for now, and I will see you in the next video.